Now we have an information item, which we're all excited to hear about. So, Dr. Swift.
Thank you, Madam President and trustees. We, as Ian Robinson referenced in his commentary this evening, and thank you all for being here, we will, with the support of the community, be looking at significant amounts of physical work in the district over the coming years. And so we really appreciated members of trustees of the board raising this idea of responsible contracting. This has been a concept that we've been working on for a number of years, and yet this is just an excellent time to drill down and to attend to a finer level of detail. And so I appreciate that Mr. Dimitru has worked with trustees of the board, and we're ready to share. Trustees, just a general overview, both of responsible contracting and also of what the law requires of us. And then I look forward to listening in on your discussion, as well as thinking about our next steps together on this endeavor. And so with that, Mr. Dimitru.
Good evening, Dr. Swift and Board of Education. And as Dr. Swift mentioned, we have a lot of work coming up, and especially if we are successful in if our voters approve our bond issue. There are fewer and fewer people that are entering the trades professions. And as you can, if you remember this past year, there were many bids that we received that were one or two contractors that were bidding on that work. There's a lot of work that is happening in our area. And when I say our area, I mean Metro and Arbor, also Metro Detroit, and quite a bit of work happening in Detroit. So also, I wanted to kind of mention that in the past 2 years, we have looked at all the data for Ann Arbor Public Schools. And when we issued bids using a sinking fund, construction bids, when a union shop bid on that work, 86% of the time, they were the winning bidder. So they were, which is a very good number. So what is a responsible contractor policy? It is basically a methodology for awarding contract based on best value. And under the responsible contractor policy, bidders submit information based on various responsibility criteria, which I'm going to list next. Some of these criteria we already use. So here are examples of the criteria that we would use to evaluate bids. And there are 3 slides with criteria. So evidence of work amounts comp, experience modification rating, list of similar projects completed, including clients, dollar value size. That one we use. General information about the bidder's company, its principles and history. That one you already use. So there's a variety of these criteria that we already use in our decision analysis that we do. So here's a list of more audited financial information. That one we use already. If they're going to be using contractors, references from former clients, we already use that one. There's other ones that we don't use. There's some that we do use. I don't want to read all of them. Some more examples: insurance and workman's comp. Again, we use that one. So there's a variety, of benefits, health insurance, retirement and savings plans. We have been known to use those as well. Any litigation and arbitrations and so forth. If they participate in an apprenticeship program, and if they do, then some ratio of journey persons and apprentices to be used on the job site. What they're going to be paying, are they using state or federal? Actually, we don't have state anymore. Federal prevailing wage requirements and any citations by OSHA and other regulatory agencies. So in summary, responsible contracting policies are what I would call best value policies. So you're looking for not just the lowest price, but also the most responsible bid based on all the criteria that we just went through. We don't have to use all the criteria, but that it was a pretty comprehensive list. Now, in Michigan, we have Public Act 105, which is known as the Local Government Labor Regulatory Limitation Act. So under that act, we're prohibited from requiring that employers pay minimum wages and other than what the state or federal minimum wage is. We are prohibited from requiring that employers pay wages and fringe benefits based on prevailing wage and benefits in the locality. There's an exception in that, but we'll come back to it in a minute. We're prohibited from requiring employees pay or they provide paid or unpaid leave. So we cannot require these things. We cannot require or regulate the hours and schedule an employer is required to provide such a break times and rest periods. We cannot do that we cannot require that. But so we cannot require that the contractor participates in an apprenticeship program or that they provide any specific fringe benefit or other benefits. There's all these restrictions from PA 105 about requiring the ones I just mentioned, but it does not prohibit us from in our evaluation to use those criteria. We just can't require that criteria, but we can still use the criteria when we do our evaluation. So, for example, if we cannot require a contractor or its employees to participate in an apprentice program, but we can consider that when we are doing our evaluation and give points or subtract points if they don't have it and those kind of things. So it is interesting that Public Act 105 applies to school districts, charter schools, and community colleges, but not to state universities. The PA 105 prohibits future enactment of prevailing wage or living wage laws, but it does not affect those that already had it on the books. So, in conclusion, Arbor Public Schools practices many of the elements of our responsible contracting policy, and we're working to strengthen our procurement policy and regulations to encourage more qualified contractors to bid for work in Ann Arbor Public Schools.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Dimitri.
Thank you very much.